Hey guys, how's it going? So today we're going to do another radio story. And today's radio story is going to be about 106.7 The D We Play Anything Variety Hits, or we'll call it the D 2.0. So 106.7 in Detroit has had a slew of different formats, and mainly they changed format a handful of times in the 2000s and in the 2010s. The station's probably their most successful format was country, as W4 Country, which ran from 1981 till 1999. Then after 1999 is kind of where their trouble kind of started, when they just went through a few formats that just didn't seem to work. After country, they had flipped to a format called Rock Adult Contemporary as Alice, 106.7. Then they were classic rock as 106.7 The Drive. Then they tried country again as 106.7 The Fox. Then they became a rhythmic station, like a rhythmic adult contemporary station, as 106.7 The Beat of Detroit. That station ended up getting the axe because Clear Channel, which is now iHeartRadio, came to find that the Beat was digging into their other station, Channel 95.5, WKQI, which was and still is a high-rated station. So they couldn't really have two stations competing against each other. So they brought back the classic rock format as 106.7 The D. I think this was I'm racking my brain here. I want to say this was like late 2011 or so. And classic rock The D had a decent run. They weren't anywhere near being a super high-rated station, but the ratings were okay. They were high 2s, low 3s typically. It was mainly 2s, if I can remember correctly. Well, the ratings were starting to taper off a little bit. And Detroit had not had a variety hits, a Jack FM type station in a while. Detroit, of course, had one with 93.1 Doug FM, which ran from 2005 till late 2013. And it had been a while since they've really had a Jack FM format. So it seemed like that there was a hole for a variety hits format. And I know I'm kind of jumping around sounding like a little kid with ADD here, but I just kind of wanted to cover the ground a little bit here. So anyway, in the fall of 2017, 106.7 The D became variety hits. And at first, the station honestly didn't really sound that much different than 106.7 The D Classic Rock, or 106.7 The D 1.0. So I kind of tuned it in, and I'm like, this doesn't sound any different. I mean, what's the difference here? But a couple weeks later, I tuned the station in, and my attitude changed immediately. And I came to find out that I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. They actually started getting it together, and they came up with a pretty unique playlist, in my opinion. For corporate radio, I thought it was pretty impressive how they kind of mixed some of the songs together. And there were a couple of times when they played a couple of songs like, back to back together that just made me laugh. Like one time they were playing Black Dog by Led Zeppelin, and that went right into Madonna's Material Girl. I just started laughing, but it was actually kind of cool because that's kind of how normal people listen to music, especially, if they put music on their phone, or if they still use an MP3 player, if they put it on shuffle, they might have various different songs and various different genres and stuff like that on there. And I think another time they were playing Sugar Ray Fly, and that went right into Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall. And again, I think that's kind of cool. And I heard a couple of songs on there that don't get a lot of play on the radio anymore, and I don't understand why. I don't know if there's obviously certain songs that might not test well, or that have just been brushed to the side for some reason. Like, for example, Paul Davis's 65 Love Affair, John Waite's Change. And I was like, those are two solid songs. And I don't know, why those don't get played. And then I guess kind of related to John Waite, The Babies, Isn't It Time? And I think I heard that on there too. So, the station, I thought, had a pretty good mix of music, and that station was kind of my go-to during the summer of 2017. I think that's all I pretty much listened to. And then I was like, wow, they got a pretty good thing going here. But I should have known better, because anytime I get something I like, they dump it and they switch it to something I don't like. Well, I think it was in November of 2011, unfortunately, they got the wild idea to dump Variety hits for alternative rock as Alt 106.7. They did this because they thought that Detroit was ready for a second alternative rock station. 89X was still on at the time. And they did this because they thought 98.7 was going to flip to alternative rock, which eventually they did. But at the time, they thought that they would get a head start on that. And, of course, Alt turned out to be a ratings disaster. But I was so disappointed when 106.7, the D 2.0, flipped to alternative rock. But again, I should have known better, because it was something that I liked. But I think, in my opinion, there is a hole for a Variety hit station in the Detroit market. And I keep hoping maybe another station will try the format sometime in the near future, but I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, 106.7, the D 2.0, that had one of the best playlists of a corporate station that I think I've probably ever heard in a long time. And it's a shame that they ended up flipping it, because I think if they would have given the station a little time, I think the station would have found its way in the market, and I think could have very well done well. But that was, in my opinion, that was just a boneheaded move on their part, flipping the station to alternative. That didn't make much sense. Well, guys, that's going to do it for me. I want to thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And as always, guys, have a great rest of your day.